Hi, this is Mike Fry, and you are listening to the We Effing Told You So podcast. Today is January 5th, 2026. Today's installment, it's clear Trump trafficked girls to Epstein for more than a decade, yet no one in the press has the courage to say so. Before we get into today's topic, we have to quickly take a detour from talking about the Epstein files to address the new reality that we've been predicting for months, that the illegal boat strikes off the coast of Venezuela would end with Felon 47 illegally invading the country to seize control of its oil. Though none in the press have said this, he just admitted it. Have a listen.
You said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela, so who's in power right now?
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but it's going to be paid.
He went on to say that the war, which he launched in violation of U.S. and international law and the U.S. Constitution, would not cost us any money because of all the money coming out of the ground there. Where have we heard that before? In other words, months after we've been predicting it, he just admitted it, and the mainstream press, whose job it is to keep us all informed, has been sitting there doing nothing to present the only logical conclusion one could reach from the stories that they've been covering in the meantime. And how much do they pay their so-called analysts? Whatever they pay them, it's too much. Saying "we effing told you so" to the New York Times, Washington Post, NPR, and all the other feckless bobbleheads who refuse to say this at this point feels unsatisfactory. Like the war in Iraq that they all aided and abetted, we are now in another war for oil, thanks to them, that has zero chance of ending well. This illegal invasion will only serve to further enrich the oligarchs who own the media and their buddies. Which brings us back to the Epstein files. Though the files were supposed to be released weeks ago, to date only about 3% of the files have been. And the latest drop of files proves one thing to us no one in the press is willing to say out loud. These documents prove that Trump, the third Antichrist of Nostradamus, wasn't just best friends with Epstein for decades, and Epstein didn't just randomly poach staff from Trump's spa at Mar-a-Lago. Trump actively trafficked young girls from the spa to Epstein for more than a decade. Instead of saying that, they say that the girls were, quote, sent to Epstein's house for spa services, end quote, and other wimpy, mealy-mouthed babbling bullshit. The documents show that the girls Epstein, quote, poached were being sent to him by Trump, and even though a trove of people, including Trump's then-wife, Marla Maples, warned Trump that Epstein was up to some really creepy shit, and even though girls complained about aggressive sexual advances and Epstein exposing himself to them during these visits, Trump kept sending them anyway. In the face of all that, the only complaint from Trump about Epstein was that Epstein was stealing his girls. Collectively, that all means Trump was knowingly or unknowingly actively trafficking girls to Epstein. And if he didn't know, it proves that he's an idiot. There is no other interpretation that makes any sense at all. So our question to all of the so-called credible press: who among you will have the guts to say out loud that Trump trafficked girls to Epstein? Even with a tiny fraction of the files having been released to date, we already know that to be true. Given that the files we already have, even with all the illegal redacting that's been happening, we already know that. It's in the files. Yet Trump keeps trying to hide the remaining files. That can only mean that there's even worse stuff in the millions of files yet to be released. Yet we've heard none of the so-called journalists reporting on this say it so plainly. In our view, that makes them complicit, just like they were complicit in the war in Iraq, just like they are complicit in the new war in Venezuela. That makes them unworthy of our subscriptions, donations, or other support. They are worse than worthless because they are actively destructive to our country. They are cowards. They are self-serving. They are incompetent. And until they begin really telling it like it is, doing their jobs, they will be complicit in covering up for pedophiles. That leads us to speculate that perhaps owners of the media or their friends were participants in it. And when that turns out to be true, we'll say, we effing told you so. You have been listening to the We Effing Told You So podcast. You can find us on Substack, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and most other places podcasts can be found. Please like and subscribe and share on your social media. And thanks for listening.